Hey everybody, it's Corey from Unified Masters. So I wanted to do a little update about some energy that came through today. We noticed it was maybe 1 o'clock Central Standard Time. I had noticed our area illuminate in those emerald frequencies that I've seen before. If you go back to my video called Emerald Codes, the build out, or there's something regarding emerald codes, those were the frequency waves that came through. Along with some more golden rays. We had some more Christ frequency that hit for a few hours, and it knocked us out for about 2.5, maybe 3 hours. And through this was a big opening of the heart chakra. So through this, I was seeing through the greens and the golds that I saw, after everything was kind of cemented in, what I was seeing was these rays, these bands of green and yellow and green and yellow. And then going into like a kind of a soft pink yellow, which are some frequencies I've seen around recently. And what this really is telling me is it's really the merger of timelines where, you know, before we had these timelines of love and the timeline of power. And coinciding, getting those to merge into one timeline where we could be living in that love and divine power, unified on one single timeline, and how we're all kind of going through and interweaving and collapsing a lot right now to land on this single timeline. So through this is a cause right now, a call for a lot of endings to come about. And it's interesting because right now the number on the clock is 9:37. 37 to me is all having to do with mission work and your mission and being on path. And the 9 sequences have been popping up. So endings are coming about. This has been really hitting hard in my heart space for the past, 48 hours. And this is, you know, the one thing that was told to me about 2020 and the guidance that I received was that it is going to be a year of change. So we have to become peacefully detached from everything in our life, but also recognize that we are the creators of our reality. And when we sense change happening, we have this choice point towards building out our template. So with the whole template thing, these codes that arrived today was really a big rewrite, again, of our template. I've mentioned origin templates before, and that we're going back to what I would call the new origin template. Essentially what it is, it's our divine blueprint, but really upgraded to our liking as we are tweaking little bits here and there, and the new codes that arrive are allowing for new gifts to open up, new insights, and new possibilities to occur. And so with this is, through this heart chakra activations, was a big release of a lot of stuff from the heart. So when these distortions build up in any one of our chakras, or we have any shadowy points in our chakras, basically what will happen is it will sit in your chakra, and you will actually end up calling forth an experience that will end up triggering that to be expelled from your chakra. And so right now is a big kind of emotional release through this heart chakra release. So we stop inviting in these aspects that are actually, so if we don't take the higher perspective and wrap up the learning lesson as a result of why these pains occurred, we end up perpetuating the cycle. And we end up kind of getting caught in these loops and living these same experiences over and over and over and over again until we really wrap up the lesson. And as the lessons are fundamental for the soul's growth, that is the only way we grow as a soul, there's some things that need to be dumped out, and that's what these waves of energy coming through was really helping to open up the heart more and really helping to just clear out more of that junk. And while this sense of ending is coming about, for me, it's been having to not get future focused, because what happens is when I sense change, I start to go into the how's it going to happen, you know, how am I going to afford this, because, you know, my call lately has been to get up and to go walk, not just literally walk around the block, but to go travel. And there's been a few other callings, but then also through this time, I get to go really quiet with my soul and go, okay, what is it that you want? What is working in your environment? What isn't working in your environment? And it's kind of like a review moment. And a lot of those review moments to me come through the Arcturian energy. So the Arcturian energy really provides us an opportunity to heal, but also to kind of review, what is working in our life, what isn't working, what needs to go. And it's all now tying into, for me, my life path number. And so the call that has come to me and I wanted to share is that if you're feeling this change coming up, is to really step into looking at what your life path number is through numerology, and then being able to review what it is that your soul desires, and then how you can implement that on a day-to-day basis towards expanding and growing into the best version of yourself. So that's what these moments of these waves coming in are, as we're dumping out more and clearing out more, is we have choices now. We want to live fully embodied and in full harmony with our soul and our soul's path and our soul's mission. So if you find that you sense some endings coming about and the numbers are popping up everywhere, because I've been seeing 9s all over the place, the call is what is it that you want to bring forth? If it's already on its way forward, how can you step forward into this with grace and with dignity and with strength to be able to continue on the path forward and not just kind of cripple down in fear? Because change can always start to excite some old emotions. Definitely for me has been abandonment wounds, fears of not being supported, a lot of root chakra stuff, which is great because now I get an opportunity to open that up more and clear out more out of my root chakra. But how can I go about, in the highest and best version of myself, walking forward in service, in love, and being able to feel supported, but also be in that supporter role unconditionally? And if it's something where, so for me, I have a tendency I get unhappy and I go, move to another area. Or I will, switch up my environment or, change up friends. But the idea is that at the end of the day, no matter where I go, I follow. So then for me, it's, okay, so obviously endings are occurring, changes are occurring in my life. How can I then evolve more with myself so no matter where I go, I'm happy in my own skin? And if I'm not happy here right now where I'm at, what can I do on a day-to-day basis towards being able to feel more fulfilled as a soul? And so for me, for instance, it's being of service more. The waves of energy that have come through have really, taken a toll, especially on the rewrite process, and then, downloading the new templates and the new blueprints, and then trying to stay aligned and active in a service role. And with these changes come about, you may want to go about doing things a little bit different. For me, there's just some levels of stuff I just don't want to dive into anymore and create content with. So then how can the idea now is to start utilizing all the resources that we have available to us. Doing things in new ways. For us, we just discussed this right now. How can we go volunteer in our area? How can we be more interactive on the human level versus just all online and via technology? So now we're looking at meetup groups, creating a meetup group, doing spiritual walks, volunteering, and then going about doing it that way. Because the idea is that we kind of jump into a form of what I would call mission work or service work. Once we've really done a big chunk of our healing, we start to kind of go down one road, and then the universe will call us into another road because, as a lot of my stuff has been done online, now the call is to do a lot more things in person. Because once again, there's more clearing at my level that I get to go through as I do that, but also there's great learning experiences from these changes. And today, the call right now is to just be adaptable and to recognize that if you're getting that call, to leave your job, if you're getting that call to change up the way you do things, to change up your routine, if you have a routine, change relationships, break away from certain people, follow that guidance. Because the more that you start to say yes to your soul, and the more you listen to that, the more you're going to be fully embodied, and the clearer the messages are going to get, and it's going to be a lot easier to navigate. And plus, there's always rewards. The one thing that we heard from someone that we listened to, from Lisa Transcendence Brown, is to remember that every next reality is better than the last. And that's a big thing to kind of hold on to through these changing times and sensing these endings, is to recognize that every next reality is better than the last reality. It always has been. Once I started this journey and I started to go on to the journey within and start to suit up and show up in my supporter role and really own the Lightworker mission, every next reality was better than the last. And yes, it was never 100%, quote unquote perfect, but it was always perfect, if you get what I mean. So this also helped to change the viewpoint of what perfection is, and to really be grateful for what I've created and manifested in my life. And that was another big message that's been coming through, that came through today, was a moment to reflect and to be grateful for all this stuff that I brought into my world and brought into my existence. And recognizing that when I am fulfilled at a soul level and I'm able to listen to the soul and what the soul wants and be able to take those action steps towards honoring what my soul wants, the more fulfilled I feel, I step into gratitude more and I can receive more. And so now it's a time to really listen to your heart. And so for me, with all the silence and kind of the void space, is to really kind of go within and to create that connection and to listen more, and to not judge what it wants or what it's saying, and to act on it. And granted, we have free will. We could choose to not listen to our soul, but there's also going to be repercussions for that as well. Especially being light workers and stepping into the full embodiment, this is something that's going to happen. Is that you're gonna listen to your soul, and the people that you're connected with are going to listen to their soul. And at some point in time, that may mean that souls have to temporarily, separate or go their own ways. And that is another kind of grieving process that we have to go through, is through the weaving of times and the changes, especially those of us that have been doing this a while. We may have to separate from our environment temporarily. And this is where we have to just tell ourselves, I'm safe, I'm supported, I'm loved unconditionally. And also, we know that there's a fundamental fact in this universe, and it's the only constant in this universe is change, and especially right now. That is the only constant in this universe. And endings don't always mean endings for good. Endings also mean just endings of chapters, as we go on to fulfill more and more what we need to fulfill at a soul level. And if things come back into play, they come back into play, and if they don't, they don't. But recognizing that we're always loved, we're always supported, and we never truly abandon ourselves. At the end of the day, people may dissolve out of our lives, things, it's the way of the world, but also the way of the ascension process right now. And recognizing that as long as you don't abandon yourself, you're never fully abandoned. And, sometimes that's why these things need to happen as well, is because there's a new level of clearing that needs to happen, and a new level of growth. And sometimes when these endings and these changes start to occur, we can't really see what's on the other side of the wall. And this is where we live in faith and recognize that we will understand with time. All the answers may not arrive right now, but it's not supposed to happen that way. We're supposed to kind of learn how to pivot when we need to pivot, how to move when we need to move. And when we are guided to and we get that opening, being able to walk through the door with grace and with dignity, and being able to say yes to our world and yes to our life and yes to our path, and being able to own it and walk it freely, unconditionally. And part of this is teaching that freedom and that sovereignty. Is if we want freedom, when freedom arrives and comes knocking, if we say no to freedom, what do? We go back into old ways. And so part of this is, with being the shakers and movers, is that our energy may be called to a different environment because our energy is meant to affect that environment. It's not always for a negative connotation. Sometimes there's a higher purpose. Sometimes your field and other people's fields need to go to a certain environment for a period of time to balance out the energies there and to get things moving. That's kind of what the call has been for me, is I know that I'm being called to go somewhere sometime soon, and I don't know where I'm going to go yet. I have an idea. There's been some talks with some people, going to Spain and going and doing a pilgrimage and walking Spain for a month or two. But it may be somewhere else, and the idea is that the new levels of our missions that arrive and how they look, we need to let go of, but recognize that we're ready. It's time. We've gone through much intensive training in other lives in this lifetime to land at these points. And whatever opportunity you get provided, just say yes, as long as it's within resonance with you. you will know. When it comes forward, you'll feel that soul ignition, you'll feel that soul spark, and you'll feel that vibration through your body, and you just say yes, and then you walk through it, and you trust, you have faith that it's all going to work out just exactly how it's going to work out. And so, went a little whoop, 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 Corey's flow all over there, but that's kind of what's been going on recently, and these energy waves today really brought about a new level of clearing, which means more rewrite and more integration, and we just got to get used to it. Right now is going to be constant clearing and constant integration, and so now we learn how to walk through those moments and get better at being able to listen to the soul, honor the soul, fulfill the purpose that we have, and being able to accomplish more with doing less. And I feel like that's what a lot of this change is providing, is through that being, we get an opportunity to reflect and review what it is we truly want. We get to anchor it in, and when it's go time, we go. Simple. We go, we walk, and then we hit those moments again until we're just balanced in the being and the doing. And then we just kind of start to step into that flow. And that's what the change is really providing right now, is an opportunity to reflect, redesign, pull in, and then move forward. So that's all I've got, guys. Much love and respect to everyone out in the Webverse. I love you all unconditionally. If you haven't, click that button to where you can get notified when I put videos up. I don't like using the word anymore, so I'm not going to say it. All my links are in the description box. If you need any help with services or want to reach out, please feel free to. So with that, much love and respect to everyone out there, and I will see you on the other side. Namaste.